From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening, I'm Brad Broders.
And I'm Michael Handy. Welcome to the January 27th edition of Carolina Week. Our top story tonight, AT&T officials are still working to clean up damage from an internet attack this weekend. A worm damaged thousands of computer servers worldwide, bogged down web traffic, and even crashed some Bank of America ATMs. Only 18 computer systems out of more than 30,000 on campus were affected by the worm. 9 of those 18 systems have been fixed. The worm infected servers through a Microsoft software flaw. It appeared in Hong Kong on Saturday, but computer experts aren't sure if that's where it originated. Microsoft has offered a remedy since last July, but many systems, including the ones affected at Carolina, didn't have the patch.
Most Carolina students living off campus rely on buses to get to their classes, but Thursday many students were left stranded. Snow covered the streets of Chapel Hill, and students woke up to find that the Chapel Hill Transit buses they take to campus weren't running. However, the university didn't cancel classes. UNC Chief of Police Derek Porch says University Police and Chapel Hill Transit don't always see eye to eye when it comes to driving conditions. And with less than 2 inches of snowfall Thursday, Porch said he didn't see the need to cancel classes. But senior Brett Bennett isn't happy with the decision or his unexcused absence.
The buses are my only option of getting to campus. So if they don't run, I'm kind of, I'm messed up. I can't go. So I think it is a little unfair that teachers may not excuse that just because the buses aren't running, because mine didn't.
Porch says the university did open parking lots normally closed to students, but for college students without cars, the open lots were of little help.
Bad weather tends to slow down public transit in Chapel Hill, but despite icy conditions, all bus routes were running within 24 hours of Thursday's snow. Chapel Hill Transit called in extra help because about 20 drivers living outside of town couldn't make it in. Mayor Kevin Foy says this isn't a new problem.
When people start to say, well, wait a minute, there's an ice storm, why aren't we doing this, why aren't we doing that? A lot of the problem is that we don't have the people here in the city to be.
Foy says living in Chapel Hill is too expensive for many town employees. Tune into the next edition of Carolina Week for more about how the cost of living is changing the character of Chapel Hill.
Campaigning for student government elections is set to kick off Tuesday, and with that will come tables and signs in the pit for the next 2 weeks. Student body president Jen Dom remembers her pit sits during last spring's election.
The toughest part about campaigning was probably being in the pit from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock every single day, sometimes in the bitter cold, sometimes in the heat. It gets to be a bit brutal out there.
Be sure to tune in to Carolina Week for ongoing coverage of student elections.
Carolina could have a new numbering system for courses within a couple of years. A committee is trying to determine which system to use. The committee seems to favor a 3-digit numbering system with lower numbers corresponding with lower level classes. Here are some reasons for renumbering. First of all, the university is running out of numbers for undergraduate and graduate courses. Second, master's and doctoral courses are hard to distinguish. Third, a new system would have a better sequence than the one currently in use, and the new system would help identify interdisciplinary and cross-listed courses. The committee would like to have a new system in place by the time the new undergraduate curriculum is ready in August of 2004.
Lots of people are still talking about the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl commercials. Sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not. Carolina Week's Alex Lawson takes a look at the impact of this year's spots and whether they were worth the $2 million companies paid to get them.
7:51 left in the opening.
The game may be over, but after the Super Bowl, the hype isn't necessarily about the Bucs winning, but about which commercial you liked best.
You give me Neo, or we all die, right here, right now.
All day. You reach?
No matter who plays in the most watched sporting day event in the country, lots of people look forward to the commercials. Senior Alan Grady.
If they're teams that I'm not really interested in, the commercial is like 3/4 of the reason I watch it.
This year, viewers were bombarded with ads from companies such as Federal Express, Pepsi, and Chrysler. But as usual, the beer ads won the advertising game. Junior Clark Lambeth says she likes the Bud Light ads the best.
The Bud Light commercials are always really good. They're always really funny. like the one this year where he put the dog on his head to go into the bar. Did you see that one? Yeah, that was my favorite.
This year, advertisers had to pay more than $2 million for just a 30-second spot. Carolina advertising professor John Sweeney says that can be a risky investment for companies.
A brand has a problem, and that brand can reach out in an infinite number of ways today. And the Super Bowl is one of them, and it can make sense. Or it can be a phenomenal waste of money.
With the economy struggling, Sweeney says he wouldn't be surprised if the network didn't sell all of its available commercial time. That would mean the price could drop for next year. But the hype will still be there. In Chapel Hill, I'm Alex Lawson, Carolina Week.
So, Michael, what was your favorite Super Bowl commercial?
Well, I have to say the Reebok with the Terry, the offensive linebacker guy, that was really funny. So
I had to go with the Willie Nelson shaving cream. I thought that was pretty funny myself.
Yeah, the beer ads are always good, too. Yeah. Well, that does it for news, but stick around for Sports Spotlight, a recap of the highs and lows of Carolina sports this weekend.
Have a good one.
I hang out with a pretty trashy circle. The circle that helps this circle by recycling trash. We sort glass, plastic, separate cans, stack newspapers and magazines. Now, thanks to us, there are lots of products made from things we've already recycled. This cereal box wants your Sunday paper. These paper clips, in a more daring life, of 56 convertibles. The circle works like this. It starts when we recycle trash at home and at work. It's completed when we buy products made from or packaged in recycled materials. How do you know the difference? Check the label for something called post-consumer recycled content. It looks like this. Make a mental note. Then buy the highest percentage of it you can find. You'll save a tree, you'll save energy, and in your own way, you'll help save the world. Complete the circle.
Call 1-800-2-RECYCLE for your free shopping guide. Environmental Defense, finding the ways that work.
Welcome to this week's edition of Sports Spotlight. I'm Aaron Messmer. A busy weekend, let's get right to the action. When your team receives its highest ranking in the program's history, you want to make sure to start the season off with a bang. That's exactly what the women's tennis team did, rolling through its matches Wednesday in their season opener against Richmond. In singles, Kate Pinchbeck makes her debut at the #1 position for the Heels and as the nation's 11th ranked player. She easily handles Richmond's Lindsay Cox 6-2, 6-1. UNC's Marlene Mejia enters the match ranked number 38 nationally and downs Vanessa Bagnato also by the 6-2, 6-1 score. Tar Heels Kendrick Bunn, Aniela Moses, Lee Barrows, and Kendall Klein all go on to win their matches. Carolina squashes the Spiders for a 7-0 sweep. The women stay at home again for their second match, this one against UNC Greensboro Saturday. The Heels dominated the entire match after taking the doubles point by winning all 3 doubles matches. Carolina made short work of the Spartans in singles. Freshman Tanya Markovic, competing in her first collegiate match and playing with a shoulder injury, finished off Spartan Emily Tanner 6-1, 6-1. The most exciting match of the day was at #1 between Carolina's Marlene Mejia and UNCG's Lindsay Peel. Peel was up 5-4 in the set, but Mejia won 3 straight games to take the set 7-5. Mejia takes over the match in the second set, winning it 6-1 and completing the Heels sweep of the Spartans. Fresh off an upset win against UConn last week, the men's basketball team faced another test on Wednesday when Maryland visited the Smith Center. The defending national champs came out of the gate hot, led by the scoring of Drew Nicholas. The senior guard dropped in 15 points before halftime, giving the Terps an early 17-point lead. Carolina would respond. Some strong defense and the scoring of Rashad McCants helped the Heels cut the deficit to 8 points at the half. In the second half, they looked to continue the comeback. This 3 by Raymond Felton made it a 2-point game, but Maryland had an answer for every Carolina run. The Terps would pull away down the stretch for an 81-66 win. Carolina head coach Matt Doherty says the game tape will show the young Heels where they made their mistakes.
And I think that's the big thing with young players. You want to answer the question, why? Why did we lose? Why did we dig a hole? And when you're going through it during the course of the game, it's hard to see it. But when you watch the film, then you understand better.
Next up for the Tar Heels, a matchup with NC State at the Raleigh RBC Center. Point guard Raymond Felton gets Carolina going early, one of his 8 threes. Carolina takes a 1-point lead in the half, but State star Julius Hodge comes alive in the second half. Hodge scores 23 of his 30 points after the break to pace the Wolfpack. Rashad McCants cuts the State lead to 2 with a left-handed dunk, but Marcus Melvin puts it away, beating the shot clock and the Heels with a 3. State wins 86-77. Midterms aren't too far away. Carolina Week's Casey Hart has a pop quiz to help you prepare.
Nearly everyone knows about Carolina's great history in women's soccer, but which other Tar Heel team has owned the Atlantic Coast Conference the past 2 decades?
Carolina's most dominant winter sports team doesn't play its home games here at the Dean Smith Center, but rather right across the way at the Corden Auditorium. The Carolina women's swimming and diving team boasts an all-time ACC record of 107 wins and 15 losses. The Tar Heels have won 15 conference championships in the 24 years of ACC women's swimming competition and have never
Well, I don't really know what happened there, but the swimming and diving teams are up to their old tricks this year. The women are ranked 11th in the nation, and the men are 20th. Carolina fans saw more than just a few good races at this weekend's annual Tar Heel Classic. Thrower Laura Garrity started the morning off on the right foot, breaking 2 of her own school records in the shot put and weight throw. Carolina women also did well in track events. Nicole Boykin finished 2nd in the 5,000, and Alice Schmidt followed with a win in the 800. To cap off the afternoon, athletes got to race against the world's best. 2000 Olympic gold medalist Monique Hennigan raced unattached in the 260-meter dashes. She says her trip back to her alma mater does more than just help her train for her next race. It also has an impact on collegiate athletes.
I guess it is motivating for them to see us continuing to run, and I guess that inspires them to do the best that they can while they're here too.
Joy Gaines also won the high jump, but it wasn't such a good weekend for the male runners. The men competed Friday, and Carolina couldn't place anyone in the top 5 in any of the running events. In fact, the Tar Heels had only one person place in the top 10 in the 60, 200, and 800-meter dashes, as well as the 5,000-meter run. No Tar Heel would place higher than 11th in the 400-meter dash, the 3,000-meter run, or any of the hurdles competitions. UNC's Vikas Gowda finished 2nd in the shot put, 4 spots higher than teammate Jason Brown. 2 other bright spots were Carolina high jumpers Adam Shunk and John Hubbard. Both posted NCAA qualifying marks, each clearing 7 feet 1 inch. Shunk finished 1st in the event, with Hubbard coming in 2nd. Well, thank you for watching this edition of Sports Spotlight and Carolina Week. We'll see you later this week with more Carolina news and more sports.